mate. There you go. We are going to be loading into our qualifying match. You can hear the beeps. The first lobby is now done. We're getting into game number 1.
Of this best of 5 qualifying match, as we jump right into it on Ancient Cistern. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, swinging all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have our red Terran player coming down from the land of China. He is going to be representing Mystery Gaming. He is the waifu killer himself. Give it up for KingSlayeR.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have his opponent. We have the best Terran player in all of Taiwan, currently teamless, no waifus, no mystery about him, just one man standing alone. It is ExpecT.
Trying to come up with a title for KingSlayeR after he took out Nazin. Because, you know, taking out Yoger, that makes you the waifu slayer, the waifu killer, the waifu trasher. But taking out Nazin? Say the fratricider is what I'll use as. That was a bit of a team kill earlier on.
Oh. Yeah, there was a bit of a team kill earlier on, but now that is not the case, and oh boy, my eyes are on KingSlayeR here. You know, he may be the young up-and-comer, he may be aggressive, he may be full of tenacity, he has that spark, he has that energy about him, but his opponent, he has the experience, he's been around for a very long time, he has the mindset of the king.
Exactly, he's expecting.
Excuse me?
No,
is he with child?
He's like,
Oh, Yaku, are you announcing right now? What's going on? What's happening? ExpecT? Is he a puppy?
He's old, is what I was trying to go for. He's, you know, he's wizened, he's more experienced, and
yeah.
You know, he himself has not only dealt with aggressive Terran styles, but we've seen it plenty of times in qualifiers, in weekly events, in whatever TvTs we do cast of him. We do see a lot of ExpecT being the player who is aggressive. Yeah. I don't know why I thought that related to. I don't know what I thought the phrase "he is expecting" meant when I said it.
It's so good.
But that's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah.
That's kind of sentiment I was going for.
Yeah. You know, we talk about it all the time here, but you know, players as they have been getting a little bit older, as StarCraft has been around for a long time, a lot of them have been getting married. We even have a couple of kids on the way. Shout out to old mate Jaime out there, not to be confused with Jim. I don't believe he is with
Raza
child
as well. Again, naming his kid Maru, ironically.
There you go. Oh, it's beautiful, mate. It's beautiful. Meanwhile, speaking of, we do have 3 Reapers making their way into the main base. At the same time, Hellions are headed towards the natural as well. The mineral lines of ExpecT are on fire, and a lot of SCVs are going down.
Very great start for KingSlayeR here, taking out 5 SCVs. Not quite game-ending damage, but it is enough to make a difference as the rest of this game plays out. A little bit of a downside to this though, KingSlayeR does lose a couple of his units. ExpecT is now zooming his way across the map, and if he can hit a mineral line before Cyclones get out, there is potential for him to reciprocate the damage, but I think ExpecT has kind of decided that this has gone on too long, I can't push out yet, I need to wait for this Cyclone.
Yeah, exactly. He can't quite move on now. It's KingSlayeR, he has already 1 Cyclone defensively. He has a 2nd Cyclone on the way as well. And because of that, I don't really see our blue Terran player dealing too much damage. We'll see what the lock-ons are going to be looking like here, as KingSlayer's Cyclones are a little bit exposed. He even has the defensive Raven if he ever needs it, and he pushes on forward.
Yeah, right at the top of the ramp, really halting whatever plans ExpecT had to really push into the natural base and the main base as well.
Boy, exactly, and with that, KingSlayeR is going to be able to take a little nice SCV lead here in the end. We do have our third CC on the way. Tank production is going to be commencing across the map. ExpecT, likewise, is also transitioning in a pretty similar fashion, but we don't see a third CC yet.
Yeah, things are slowing down a little bit here, but it looks like ExpecT does want to heat things up a little bit. No, I stand corrected. He is still getting his third CC, just a little bit more delayed.
A little bit more delayed as KingSlayeR is looking to take advantage and take control of the middle of the map. He gets another lock on, takes down every single Reaper. Thankfully, ExpecT is able to keep his Cyclone alive. He does tuck it between, or is able to tuck it back home and bring it back. And he's actually going to be looking to move out a little bit here. Looking at the units tab, it looks like, okay, we are even in the Raven count.
Even in the Raven count, but not in the tank count. ExpecT is pulling a little bit ahead in that regard. He even has Vikings as compared to the 0 Vikings of KingSlayeR. ExpecT is looking to take it to KingSlayeR.
Yeah, it's going to be moving on now. KingSlayeR, ooh, why do we have a tank here? Very exposed, and will be a very expensive loss if it does get caught out. Thankfully, KingSlayeR turns around, and ExpecT isn't able to take advantage of that.
I feel like if there was one phrase to sum up KingSlayeR, it would be that. Why do we have a tank here? Why do we have a tank tucked in to the opponent's main base? Why do we have a tank randomly in the middle of the map? It's just KingSlayeR things, you know?
Oh, but we do have a lockout on the Raven. It looks like KingSlayeR is going to be losing one of his Cyclones, but a lot of damage was dealt here. Meanwhile, as you're pointing out, ExpecT is kind of taking a different approach here to his army composition. He is investing so heavily into these Vikings to take control of the air. KingSlayeR, not so much. He's going into drop play, into medevacs instead.
Yeah, definitely a lot more difficult to pull off when your opponent has the air superiority, but if you can find even a slight opening where your opponent doesn't have vision and doesn't have anti-air, 2 medevacs full of Marines can really mess up production and mineral lines as well.
They really can, but these Vikings are bullying the Ravens of KingSlayeR. He's forced to respect this position. He has to give this up. He turns back around to fall back to his third base. I love it. It's very quick to repair those Ravens. He knows how important, how instrumental they will be in the coming fight as both players bounce off each other and take their thirds.
Yeah. This was kind of the primary objective of ExpecT, I guess, when it came to pushing out like that. He just wanted to make sure he had control of the map. He wanted to make sure that he was comfortable enough to expand, because just like that, ExpecT, from being down 7 or so workers, is now actually slightly ahead.
Yeah, there you go. His macro is really coming into play here. But now, how good is his positioning? He does have Vikings here towards the north, just covering that dead space in between his main and the rest of the map. Do have a double drop being set up here by KingSlayeR, but he's looking for an angle of attack, and he can't quite find it yet. Oh my god, he's actually moving his entire army over.
Yeah, and this time, KingSlayeR does have the advantage in the army supply. Still very far behind when it comes to the Viking count, when it comes to the air superiority, but if he can find the right position, he might not need it. If he can siege up before ExpecT can really react to this, he may not need that air superiority.
And there we go. We do have a disable on 2 of these tanks. The Ravens are looking for some more damage. There we go. Even more disables being thrown down all around. And you know what? KingSlayeR, he has the better Marines. He has 1-1. ExpecT, he's still waiting for his own upgrades.
Yeah, 1 tank is in play right now for KingSlayeR, and just like that, GG is called. Everything was going right for ExpecT, but he didn't count on having every single one of his tanks disabled. Very nicely done here for KingSlayeR, and he takes the lead in this best of 5 qualifying match.
GG, very well played here, and ExpecT did have a lot of Vikings to work with, but as we saw, he had half of them in that northern portion of the map, expecting a drop to come into his main base. They were busy patrolling there, and he wasn't in position to protect his tanks from those ravens. Otherwise, he should be taking control of the skies. He should not allow that to happen, for the ravens to kind of run rampant and disable everything. That's what the Vikings are for, but he wasn't able to make use of his units in the end, and KingSlayeR hit a very crisp 1-1 timing.
Bellissima. It's beautiful. I saw all of those. I could see it so clearly. It was beautiful to see it be set in motion by KingSlayeR when every single one of those disables were thrown down. It just reminds me of that first season of 2018 when the Raven first got reworked and Terran players weren't used to disables at all. It's like the first players to figure out, wait a minute, we can just take these backbone units out of commission immediately. Yeah, I got some nostalgia over there. Yeah, very nicely done by KingSlayeR, and it really goes to show how not just ExpecT, but I think a lot of KingSlayer's opponents tonight just are very much lacking when it comes to map vision.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Nazin and ExpecT are two players who kind of noticeably don't send out any spotter units.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we see how important that was. I was going to bring that up as well. The fact that we didn't have any spotter marines, ExpecT did not see the army positioning, the army movement, and as a result, he wasn't able to position his own army to counter that. He was caught completely unawares, and I feel like that is a bit of a trend with our Red Terran.
Yeah. He just knows where his opponents are blind, the blind spots of his opponents, but we will see if that continues, because we are now moving on to Babylon, or in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way. In that top left-hand corner, we have our blue Terran player coming down from the land of Taiwan. He is representing himself right now, as he is currently teamless. He is expecting. He is ExpecT.
Is he expecting?
Expecting a W. I should have finished that thought. He is expecting to win and qualify. I should have finished that thought.
Oh my god. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Terran player representing Mystery Gaming, currently up in this series. It is a KingSlayeR.
Mm-hmm.
Ay.
Yeah.
So some very powerful play here in the first game, able to take a nice lead in this series, but it is only one game, and this is a best of 5, so still plenty of games ahead of us, still plenty of opportunities for our Taiwanese Terran to come back.
Indeed, there are, and yeah, you have to imagine that in a longer series like this, a more experienced player like ExpecT will have a bit of an advantage. You know, it can definitely be tricky to adapt mid-series, or to adapt your tactics in the middle of a series and in a shorter series as well, to keep up with your opponent. But as I say that, I just recall the series against Yogurt that KingSlayeR had, where he went 3 games in a row with similar overall strategies, but with very, very different tactics, and how he went about it. He was aggressive in all 3 games, but with very different styles of aggression.
Yeah, exactly. He was very difficult to keep track of. It was very difficult to keep up with his builds overall, and as a result, KingSlayeR has just been a very unpredictable player to compete against, and his opponents have been having a hard time reading him. We'll see if that's going to be continuing to be the case here, as we do have our 1-1-1 opener. Did have a bit of a double gas opener from both players as well, so once again we're going to be focusing on a little bit of aggression here, Hellions to kick things off, but KingSlayeR does go for a faster reactor.
Yeah, not committing too hard when it comes to Reapers, and actually getting a bit of a much quicker tech lab on that factory. But
Yeah.
as a result, you know, his starport is a little bit more delayed. ExpecT is the first player to get a Liberator out. This is giving me coffee vibes. If it weren't for that earlier tech lab, this is the coffee build, the transcendent TvT.
Let's go, mate. Let's go. So a lot's going to be going on here. We have Marines and a Cyclone drop being set up by KingSlayeR. He's going to be zooming across the map with everything he has. Meanwhile, his opponent, ExpecT, is also looking to be quite aggressive as well, going for a Liberator push. Which one will come out on top is the question here. I think I favor ExpecT, depending on what he moves out with and what he leaves at home, if anything.
Yeah, I would normally favor ExpecT as well. I mean, he's not neglecting his Cyclone, or his own Cyclone, I should say, so he does have defenses back home. He's actually playing this out surprisingly safe. He's sending out his Liberator, but he's not pushing out with his Reapers and Hellions.
Yeah, exactly. So he's only looking to harass. He's not going for a big push. And here we go. We have a drop into the main base. The depot is going to be going down, but it looks like only the depot here, as the rest of the army is going to be able to come in.
Yeah, gets right on top of this army. Nice little bit of juggling from KingSlayeR. Oh, where's the Cyclone? Where's the Cyclone?
Oh, the
I was
Cyclone.
thinking the Cyclone of ExpecT might be flanking the medevac, but no, it was keeping it home just in case there was a Liberator or anything like that.
Yeah, it did stay at home. Meanwhile, speaking of Liberator, the Liberation Zone is here on the main base. 5 SCVs going down, an insane amount of damage. There is a Cyclone, but the damage has been done, and KingSlayeR was late to react. Oh.
Yeah, even damaging the tank a little bit, that's going to cut into the income to repair that. So, as a result, ExpecT gets a pretty solid lead in the early game.
Yeah, exactly. We have a second Liberator showing up as well, and oh boy, once again, the boys are being pulled away, but not before another SCV goes down. At the same time, a drop is being set up into the main base of ExpecT, but he is patrolling with his Cyclone. Up.
And the Cyclone doesn't quite lock on, but ExpecT, thankfully, did notice a little blimp in that minimap, a little blip in that minimap, or I guess it's technically a blimp, if you think about it. A medevac, it's got a lot of hot air. It transports units, yeah. The point is, ExpecT reacted, and we're gonna see the game slow down from here.
We are. Both players are taking their third bases. Things getting really chaotic in the beginning, but ExpecT does come out on top in the end, does have the higher worker count. He's moving out with his main army here in towards the center of the map. He has a higher tank count. He's got his Vikings. He has a Cyclone defensively back at home. And I really do worry here for KingSlayeR. The upside for KingSlayeR is that he has been spending his starport production on Ravens, not on Vikings, not on Liberators.
Yeah, so while Vikings are obviously a very, very solid backbone unit when it comes to the Air Force of Terran, you want it to zone away the Ravens and whatnot of your opponent. They don't quite have as much utility here compared to the double Ravens of KingSlayeR.
Oh, exactly, as KingSlayeR does push on forward, reveals his own Vikings, and KingSlayeR has to make a choice. Is he going to go for a surround or is he going to go for a counterattack? He does have a drop of Marines moving on out.
And this is a really good choice from KingSlayeR IMO, as long as it doesn't run into Vikings.
Oh boy, here we go. One Raven almost going down in the end. KingSlayeR is going to be able to take control of the skies for a little bit. Meanwhile, the drop does get across the map. A quick reaction from ExpecT.
Yeah, we'll be able to pull his SCVs away. He shouldn't be losing too many workers to this little drop. Cyclone even in position. Oh, but it's locked onto a Marine.
Oh my god, and here we go. He dives into the Cyclone. The Cyclone is going to be going down. Nice body blocking with those Marines.
6 health, but basically one additional shot from that Cyclone would have taken out this medevac. Now ExpecT has to refocus his attention back home to defend against this. KingSlayeR tries to break this position, but doesn't quite find it. So tempting looking at that Raven with such low health. You want to push forward with that Viking, ExpecT, but actually no, he doesn't, because there's a Cyclone waiting for him.
Yeah, there's a Cyclone waiting for him, so damned if you do, damned if you don't. We do see a scan here. Barely any Vikings remaining, and with the power of these Ravens, KingSlayeR is going to be able to break out of this container. ExpecT needs to get out of here, but he's going to end up losing these tanks.
Yeah, immediately they all, or two of them get disabled, but two is enough. One tank, not going to be enough to make a difference here, and because of the harassment earlier, ExpecT doesn't have his reinforcements here in position. He's still in a fine position. I mean, obviously, he did get his cert base much, much quicker. He still has a good number of tanks at home to defend against a counterattack, but ExpecT was really hoping to just contain KingSlayeR on two bases for much, much longer.
Yeah, and the other big thing is that KingSlayeR did end up losing one of his Ravens as well, so now he's going to have less potential to break this position. He's going to be posturing, but expanding behind it, taking on up. We have 1-1 on the way, Liberators as well. He's trying to work towards a bit of a later game.
Yeah, and a later game seems to be what we're getting. As like you said, I don't think KingSlayeR is really going to be able to break this position. While ExpecT has 4 tanks on the high ground and on the low ground, yeah, we just have a little bit of a reverse dynamic from earlier on, where this time ExpecT is kind of being contained, but can you really be contained when you have 3 bases?
That's the question here. I mean, I do appreciate that KingSlayeR is going for a very fast 4th CC, but ExpecT is going to be sneaking out across the map with a drop. I don't know if ExpecT is going to have enough to defend. Meanwhile, the Liberator is going to be sieging up here. ExpecT does have control of the air.
Really good use of that aerial superiority. Tanks are forced to seek ground slowly but surely, as there's just not enough anti-air in position here for ExpecT.
Oh, there really is not, but that anti-air is across the map. We do see that drop coming in, but Marines were kept at home to defend. KingSlayeR only loses 2 SCVs, but he may lose a little bit more here in the main base, as we do see ExpecT trying to break the contain.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to work out for him. A little bit bloodlusted was ExpecT. The Liberator actually putting in a lot of work, but it seems like there are just way too many tanks here for KingSlayeR to really deal with. He still has a pretty good foothold, but he's given up his entire half of his army and half of his economy.
Yeah, that one drop of Marines, KingSlayeR, he was hyper-focused across the map, and as a result, 17 SCVs went down and to only a handful of Marines. KingSlayeR, he had enough at home to defend. He just didn't have the attention span to be able to pull off that defense. He even has a couple of idle mules here as well. Just so much chaos ensuing, and KingSlayeR is having a hard time keeping up.
That's the worst feeling in the world, when you look at a mule that was idle and it's only at like half, and it's already at like half of its cooldown. You know, like, this could have been 500 over minerals.
It could have been a lot of money, mate. A lot of money. Meanwhile, ExpecT going for another double drop counterattack, and KingSlayeR, oh, it looks like he has been able to catch wind of this. He's going to be rotating on over, and he will catch the drop.
Yeah, ExpecT, though, does pick up, and he does zip away, zoom away. In time. He is distracting the army, which is really, really important. KingSlayeR, again, is a hyper-aggressive Terran player. That's why he has a larger army supply than ExpecT right now, and why he has so many dang Marines on the map. He wants to be across the map. He wants to be containing ExpecT once again, but ExpecT has kind of turned the tables. Now he's pushing out with his own units.
Yeah, Marines are headed towards that fresh mining 4th base. We do see the drop trying to escape, but here we go. The Vikings do reveal themselves. The tanks are exposed, and ExpecT is pushing in.
Yeah, but he will be forced out as the rest of the units of KingSlayeR come to meet this. While this is all going on, though, he's setting up another drop towards the south.
Yeah, the medevac is making its way towards the main base. No turrets are in position. This could do a lot of damage. ExpecT this time a lot more on time and crisp with his upgrades. 2-2 is done, plus 3 is on the way, soon to be 3-3. KingSlayeR falling further behind.
Only now does KingSlayeR finish up his 2-2 upgrades. This drop once again wreaking a lot of havoc, and yeah, simming on forward. He should be able to catch every single reinforcement as they pop out. KingSlayeR has to make a decision. He's in the middle of the map. Does he turn around? The Raven! The Raven! The Raven!
Ah, the Raven does manage to escape. A lot of the army responds to this at the same time. ExpecT is going to be hitting that 4th base, and KingSlayeR just doesn't have a lot in position. He has some tanks here in the middle between his bases, but not protecting the 4th.
Yeah, all of these tanks are going to siege up, and there's not enough energy to disable all of these tanks. The Raven finally goes down. 2 tanks are disabled, but there's still 4 tanks in play. Marines go down left and right. KingSlayeR is able to keep his base alive, though, and reset the tank count of ExpecT. That is a break that KingSlayeR really needs at this point.
It really is. Like, KingSlayeR just doesn't really have a lot of supply to work with, but that was a very efficient trade by KingSlayeR. The disables were on point. The planetary was even helping out as well. He goes for a scan, does confirm the 4th base from his opponent. We do have a Doom drop headed towards the main. This time, though, there are turrets.
There are turrets. But it is still possible for ExpecT to unload 3, at the very least 3, maybe even 3.5 of these medevacs. The tanks do come out, and there are Marines. Tanks are now sieging, camping the production. Everything's going to go down here. KingSlayeR is going to have a lot of difficulty pushing into this. Remember, he lost the Raven earlier. He can't throw down auto turrets. He can't disable. He has to give up a lot of his production facilities.
Yeah, and it looks like KingSlayeR is about to be broken. He goes for a drop across the map, but it really doesn't do too much of anything here. The main base has been compromised, the production compromised as well. We have another attacking force here at the triangular third, and KingSlayeR just doesn't have anything ready for this.
It's 101 army supply versus 55, 61 now, but I don't think it's really going to make that much of a difference. KingSlayeR loses half of his production. He loses a very fresh mining base. He's down to basically 1.5 bases at this point versus the 4. Or I guess it would be more of a 3 for ExpecT.
Yeah, exactly, and coming back from this position is going to be nigh on impossible. We have another CC on the way. KingSlayer's trying to keep whatever he can alive, but there's nothing stopping ExpecT from going in towards the natural. We have some tanks on the high ground, but the Marines can bypass that. No, he does back off for the time being.
Yeah, he knows he can't really push up that ramp when all of those tanks are sieged up like that, and he doesn't really need to either. There's nothing... Again, his economy is really solid back home. He has complete control of the map. There's just nothing pressuring him to give up his lead. He would much rather slowly starve out KingSlayeR or go for another push like this.
Oh yeah, he cancels the production, gets on top of the building for CC. There are some tanks here in position, and we do see the rest of the army trying to rotate on over. KingSlayer's going to be able to take this fight as well, cleaning up another portion of the army of ExpecT. So he is going to be fighting back as best he can. Oh god, but that planetary is so low.
Yeah, the Marines, or the SCVs, sorry, now get into position to repair that planetary fortress, but when they're repairing, they're not mining. And without mining, this game won't last for too much longer.
Yeah, exactly. Liberator's trying to do what they can, but ExpecT is double expanding as we speak, getting a 5th base, getting a 6th base as well. And KingSlayeR is only delaying the inevitable here as he's going to try and break this siege position. Coming in for a bit of a flank, is in range and going to be able to get a couple of tank volleys off. But this is the only mining base left for KingSlayeR.
Yeah, and the planetary fortress is getting lower and lower and lower and lower.
Oh boy, exactly. And even if he's able to hold on, it looks like he's going to be able to break on out here. Oh no, the Vikings are going to be going down, at least some of them.
Yeah, he does give up a little bit of his air superiority, but he is able to defend in that position. This position, however, is once again completely forfeit. Another Doom drop comes in for ExpecT, and these are the last production buildings of KingSlayeR. GG is called, and ExpecT takes game number 2, tying us up 1-1 in the specified qualifying match.
Oh, GG, well played. ExpecT with so much more control overall in this game. Oh, a really good showing from him as well to prove to us all that he still got it, mate. He still has it in him to go toe-to-toe with these youngsters, with these young up-and-coming players. And yeah, really powerful performance here from ExpecT in Game 2.
Yeah, he will not be slayed just yet.
Exactly. He may be the one doing the slaying instead. We shall see. As we do have a more back and forth series, regardless of the result, it is not going to be a 3-0.
Woo!
Let's
Yeah,
go.
I'm trying to think of, I'm trying to remember what went differently here for ExpecT, because by the looks of things, it doesn't really seem like there was that much of a difference. Sure, ExpecT did go for his earlier 2-base contain compared to Ancient Cistern, but that's just something you can get away with a little bit easier on Babylon. I kind of feel like part of this came down to, most of what this came down to was the fact that ExpecT was going for more drop play, but more than that, I do feel like KingSlayeR kind of gave up his position when he tried to break the defenses of ExpecT. When, ExpecT was on 3 bases and at 4 tank sieged up, and he kind of went to the meat grinder.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just so unfortunate. Really, the turning point there for that game was when ExpecT, he had that one drop. It was one medevac drop.
Mm-hmm.
6 Marines. They killed 17 SCVs.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like there wasn't anything at home to defend. No, there was. There were things at home to defend. There were units, there were Marines. They were just a little bit idle. The attention just wasn't there. Oh boy, that was really the game-winning move for ExpecT.
Yeah. I think KingSlayeR got a little bit bloodlusted there. He saw a faint opportunity of ending the game by pushing into ExpecT's tank lines, but it was a mirage, is what it was. A hallucination. Wasn't quite able to break ExpecT, and in fact, he ended up getting broken because that was a little bit of a blind spot of his.
There you go. There you go. Oh, that was a bit of a blind spot, but now we'll see if he can tidy things up as we are going to be getting into our next game. Oh boy. And yeah, we'll see who's able to take a lead, who's able to have momentum in this series, who's able to take the first 2-1 lead.
Yeah. And then potentially a 2-2 lead. No, that's not a lead. Anyway, we're going to be jumping straight onto our third map of the qualifying best of 5 here on Royal Blood. We're at the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way. Pardon me, in that top right-hand corner, we have our red Terran player hailing from the land of China. He, of course, is going to be representing Mystery Gaming, MYG, Mig. He is KingSlayeR.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have his opponents. We have the Taiwanese Terran player representing himself, as he is teamless. It is ExpecT.
Yeah. And I guess my eyes are a little bit more on ExpecT now, as I think so far in the series he has shown that he's a bit more willing to switch things up a little bit, to divert his style if he thinks it's going to be effective against his opponent. KingSlayeR, we know he has a lot of variety when it comes to his builds and when it comes to his tactics, but I have to imagine that he's still gonna try to go for these early game pushes.
Yeah, I imagine so as well, right? That's kind of what we've been seeing from KingSlayeR even in the last 2 games of this very series. That's just what he has been going for. It is his mantra. It is how he slays the kings that we have been seeing him kind of fell here. And we'll see if he's able to do so again. Again, I do feel like KingSlayeR, he was looking pretty damn good. He was looking quite solid. He was keeping up with ExpecT till that drop across the map. One drop is sometimes all it takes to just put you so far behind. So yeah, I do want to believe that we are going to have a more back and forth series once again. Maybe even go all the way to game 5.
Yeah. I believe it's what I expect and anticipate. I am expecting that result.
Oh. Aye, aye, aye. As for the time being, we do have some pretty standard numbers. Double gas openers from both players. No one is looking to be too economic here. And we are going to be seeing a bit of an investment into these Reapers and Hellions. I'm curious if we're going to be going all the way up to that 5 Reaper, 3 Hellion mark for KingSlayeR. Right.
Not quite, yeah, as both players are content with just 3 Reapers each. They move forward to get, they move on to get some Safety Marines instead. Very mirrored build coming out so far.
Yeah, and as a result, I do have to favor our Taiwanese Terran here, as he has his defensive line set up. We do see KingSlayeR poking on in, but he does spot the equivalent amount of units, and he will back up, but ExpecT wants to be the aggressor once again. We do have a tank on the way and a medevac.
I can see it so clearly, Light.
Oh.
I can see the loading into the medevac, and I can see the Raven disabling the medevac before anything can unload. And the cyclone cycle.
That would be some high level play if KingSlayeR is able to pull that off. But here we go. We have the drop zooming out across the map. We have 1 tank and 4 Marines. The Hellions and Cyclones, sorry, the Reapers and Hellions can also support. And there we go. They are going to be zooming across the map. So a very dedicated push being set up from ExpecT. We'll see if he can pull this off. Cyclone is back at home to defend. Marines are in position as well here outside or in the main. Ooh.
I thought this was a little bit mistimed from ExpecT, you know, pushing out before the Reapers, but I guess he wasn't. I guess he wasn't anticipating to be able to land in the main base of his tank either. He just wanted to have a nice little foothold outside of the bases.
And you know what? He gets a depot. He supply blocks KingSlayeR. Not too bad. Here is dealing some damage. Just has to be careful not to overextend. He has to be careful not to lose too much, as he's going to be sieging in range of the natural.
Yeah, he does find a nice little position here where the tank is out of range, but the Raven got enough energy to throw down Disable, and that's going to be the end of ExpecT's aggression.
Oh, the lock on though on the medevac. We can't unload, but he's going to try and save what he can, but the medevac goes down.
And all of the units in that medevac go down with it. KingSlayeR has such a solid army supply lead, but ExpecT is gonna do whatever he can. Oh, I love this. He faked one drop.
He's just sending. He's just not stopping. He's going for drop after drop across the map, and that means he actually has nothing. There is 0 at home to defend. KingSlayeR is going for his push. The second drop turns back around. He will have the high ground here with that tank, but we have Ravens to disable.
We do have Ravens to disable, but we're about to get a couple of Vikings out very, very soon. There is a second tank and only 1 disable available right now for ExpecT. The drop did get chased away, but 4 Marines are still alive in this medevac, and they are still looking to get whatever damage they can.
Oh, and here we go. We have a disable. The boys have to be pulled. Auto turrets are here to help buffer here for the Marines, and it looks like with the help of these SCVs, ExpecT. Oh, can he break through? Ay, ay, ay.
Just barely. He isn't able to break through. Tanks in the low ground were in range of the tank in the high ground, and with that, ExpecT has lost the backbone of his defense. The CC is burning.
We have a repair. Is it going to be enough? Yeah, we do have a tank drop here towards the low ground as well, but it looks like ExpecT is losing too much. The drop across the map is also doing some counter damage, but the reinforcements are more than enough to clean that up as well. And ExpecT is down at 10 SCVs.
Ouch. He's down 10 SCVs, and he lost way more than KingSlayeR. Wait. I'm assuming he lost way more than KingSlayeR. Yeah, he lost 4 tanks, 2 Vikings, and yeah, KingSlayeR did lose his Ravens, but I still think KingSlayeR pulled out ahead in that.
Really did. Meanwhile, I have this
but it's not over.
Yeah, the 1 medevac drop. Let's go. I mean, honestly, the Marine bombing here at the Natural was doing a lot of damage, and now ExpecT is catching up in the worker count. His CC survived. If it had gone down, if it had burned down, then the game would be over. But, oh my god, there we go. Even more SCVs falling here in the end.
He's practically even. on worker supply, and he's even sending a couple of Vikings across the map to land in the middle line. I believe there is a tank. No, it is no longer in position.
KingSlayer's moving out, and he's going to be losing even more SCVs here. He does react in time. The army turns around for a second. His reinforcements are going to be able to fend this off for the time being here, but ExpecT is doing a great job at just harassing and trying to catch back up in this game, trying to recover economically. He is catching up in the SCVs.
Yeah, he's only down by 1, and that's practically nothing.
But because of all this harassment, ExpecT... Okay, he does. I was like, where are his tanks? He's going across. He's going for another. He just doesn't stop, Bob.
Because of course he is. Yep. He's juggling the tanks pretty dang well as well, but KingSlayeR will be looking to reciprocate this damage. He does have another push on the way. 16 SCVs just went down for KingSlayeR. But now ExpecT is looking to lose his base.
Yeah, exactly, but he just keeps dropping. He just doesn't stop. Okay, there we go. He's looking to try and surround this tank line. There's only three tanks, barely any Marines to support. The reinforcements are coming, but they're not here yet.
Yeah, they're waiting to make their way on over. The Marines of ExpecT will be catching some of these reinforcements.
Exactly, they will be juking it out here towards the back line. The tanks come in to support. The Marines get cleaned up, and now ExpecT doesn't have any opportunity to surround this army. GG gets called, and KingSlayeR takes the lead in this series 2-1.
Such a chaotic game that we just saw. The most chaotic in this series so far. It's a terrible game to be an SCV, is all I'll say.
Oh my god, ExpecT he just threw caution to the wind. He just didn't stop dropping, just kept sending tank drop after tank drop across the map, and it was kind of working, but it was also very expensive as well. It felt very desperate to try to come back in the game as he, of course, as we saw, just left nothing at home to defend, or very little.
Yeah, there was definitely a point where he hit diminishing returns when it came to that drop. I feel like after I can understand why he kept dropping, but after he killed all of those Marines and after he defended against the initial wave of aggression from KingSlayeR, I definitely think that should have been the signal to just hang back home, keep your tanks at home, be defensive. You can still send out drops if you want, but send out limited drops with maybe one medevac full of Marines, not double medevac, Marine, and tank. Throwing all caution to the wind like that. But as I said, I can understand why he was so committed to that, because we kind of glossed over it. ExpecT was on 2 bases the entire time, whereas KingSlayeR was working on a 3rd.
Yeah, he was working. He did have a 3rd CC. He actually had an orbital towards the end of that game, so even though he was taking some economic losses, he had all the mules, he had triple SCV production as well. He could transition out of that. ExpecT could not, and yeah, now we're going to be looking to get into game number 4. Just going to be remaking the lobby. It looks like maybe the incorrect map was chosen, but regardless, KingSlayeR is 1 game away from qualifying for the closed qualifiers.
Yeah, 1 game away from living up to that name. Well, yeah, 1 game away from living up to that name. I was just thinking, he calls himself KingSlayeR, and there is Rex waiting in the, I believe the closed qualifiers is where he's waiting right now.
There is a king in the region. There is a king, the Rex himself, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Will we see them face off against each other? That would be amazing.
Yeah, but we shall see as we load in to game number 4, potentially the final game of the evening, but that is to be determined.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rex may be waiting in the main event for the ESL Masters Asia Regional, so not in the closed qualifier. So KingSlayeR is going to have to go on quite a journey if he wants to go all the way.
Yeah. And to be slaying other kings on the way. Just slaying all the way. That's what I say. But regardless, we are going to be continuing our best of 5 qualifying match now between Ongresvan. We're in the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in that top left-hand corner. We have our blue Terran player coming out from the land of Taiwan. He is representing himself as he is currently teamless. We have ExpecT.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the up-and-coming Terran player from the land of China representing Mystery Gaming. It is the KingSlayeR.
El Jaime Lannister.
Oh, Jaime Lannister himself, Papi. If you don't mind me, are you a 2000s boy? Were you born in the year 2000?
Yeah, on 2000.
There you go. KingSlayeR as well.
The age
mate.
is synced.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a dragon baby.
Yeah, he's one of your own, mate. He's one of your own. He's looking to prove himself here. He's already done so well for himself, taking down some big names like Yogur, like Najin. But he's up against the best Terran in Taiwan, and he's up in the series. If this was best of 3, it would be over right now. It'd be done.
Yeah, he would already have qualified for tomorrow. But it ain't. And as a wise man once said, it does not conclude until after the conclusion.
Who said that?
I think it was from South Park, actually.
As we are going to be getting into this again, ExpecT with this hyper-aggressive drop style here did kind of peter out towards the end, or did lead to a very chaotic game. It was really insane to watch and bear witness. I don't think we're going to be seeing that
witness to ExpecT just losing his mind.
Yeah.
Just throwing all caution to the wind. He just stopped caring about livelihood.
Yeah, I can hear his men questioning him, being like, "Captain, are you sure we want to be sending out just these individual drops, mate? These men, they have kids, they have families, they have wives." And he's like, "No, mate, just send them, Bobby, send them."
Just do it. I like to imagine it's like one of his men is just pleading him. It's like, "Please, Captain, don't do this. Think about what the consequences, how it would devastate your family." And he's like, we say go when I say go. When I say jump, we jump.
Jump. He's lost it, mate. He's lost it. He is the Mad King. It's all coming together.
Zero, yeah.
Yeah. That is how the story went. The Mad King may be losing his mind a little bit, and he needs to be stopped. Yeah. Can Jaime do it? In my brain, he's now he's just Jaime at this point.
Now he is, yeah. Spoilers for a book series that's like 20 years old.
True.
But yeah, that is what happened.
Far more than 20 years old, mate, at this point.
Yeah. Just itching my head.
As we do have some relatively standard openers here, just a bit of a skirmish between these first couple of units. Nothing has been lost for the time being, but once again, we do see KingSlayeR going for a standard 3 Reaper 2 Hellion opener. Has been quite fond of this, as it is quite solid, quite defensive, not overly aggressive in the early game.
Which is insane to think about coming out from KingSlayeR. Based on what little we've seen in his series against Nazin, Yogur, and even this series against ExpecT so far. But yeah, things are slowing down, and both of our players are playing a bit safer.
Yeah, this time we have a tech lab on the starboard. This time we have Raven production. We're not going to be seeing a hyper-fast medevac from ExpecT, so he's not going to be just sending everything across the map. He's going to be chilling back at home instead. And I don't blame him, because one more slip-up, one more loss, and ExpecT is out of the qualifiers. He's out of the ESL Masters event, period. So he needs to be playing the safe. He needs to be careful.
Very, very cautious and careful. You can even see him now taking map vision a bit more seriously. He's building around his main base. He doesn't want to be bamboozled by a Doom drop. He Should be sending out a couple of spotters later down the line, but I guess that's what these Reapers are for the time being.
Yeah, he's going to try and dip on into the main base and get a scout of what exactly is going on, but he's going to run into all these Marines. Ooh, the Reapers will survive, but they don't really get too much scouting information yet, as KingSlayeR throws down his third CC at around the same time as his opponent.
Yeah, the problem is, though, he doesn't know that.
Yeah, he does not know, and we also haven't really seen any mech this series either. Raxes are thrown down for KingSlayeR, ExpecT. I don't believe he's really one to meddle in that either, so I think that's also why this series has been so action-packed as well. We haven't seen that kind of biotank versus mech dynamic that we sometimes see in other matchups.
Thankfully, yeah.
Meeks. Like I casted video.
I didn't want to name it. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to name him specifically, but he was who I was thinking of.
Yeah. You played mech in KSL today.
Edge
in the
TvT. 24-hour stream.
Yeah, it's crazy. Speaking of, though, we do have these two Ravens slipping in behind the main base, going for some auto turret harass. How quick is KingSlayeR to respond here? As a decent amount of SCVs are going to be going down.
Oh, this auto turret positioning. Oh. He's boxing in every single SCV. 10 of them go down, and it's more where that came from. But because of this auto turret harass, the Ravens were not back home. They were not available to defend. Every single tank does get disabled for ExpecT, and the boys are forced to be pulled. The disable runs out, though, and one tank is shelling away from that back line. When it's all said and done, they trade SCV for SCV.
Mate,
who comes out ahead, though?
That was crazy. The Ravens, they come back in as they are energy-based units with these auto charts, but a Viking is coming in to fend them off. Great disables from KingSlayeR. I thought maybe he could just break ExpecT then and there, but the boys were pulled. If it wasn't for that, ExpecT would be dead right now, but no, he holds onto his units. He does have his tank count reset, but his Ravens are alive.
I didn't even notice that until you pointed that out, like, the fact that KingSlayeR invested so much into 3 Ravens, not just 2 Ravens, but 3, that was a push that was meant to end the game. Those Ravens were backing up so much energy since they were produced to just disable everything they could and break on forward and completely end the game, have KingSlayeR qualified for tomorrow. But not only did it not work, but he lost those Ravens.
Yeah. And
they are not going to be useful in this defense.
And we're now in a really weird situation where KingSlayeR is a player without any Ravens, and ExpecT has his own. The energy is banking up here, and KingSlayeR, he's got to be in a lot of trouble right now. Doesn't matter that he has a tank lead, doesn't matter that he has a defensive line. If his Vikings aren't able to chase away and fend off against the Ravens, then he may just be broken.
Yeah, and I can see that scenario happening so clearly, light.
ExpecT, he's looking for an angle of attack. It looks like KingSlayeR is anticipating a drop into his main base, but there are no medevacs with this army. ExpecT is going to be rotating over towards the third instead. Oh, actually is going to be looking to take control of this area, cleaning up any spotters. Up!
Yeah, and it was very important to have these spotters in position. One Raven will finally go down for ExpecT. ExpecT, he is a madman. He wants to go in with his air units. No, never mind. Okay.
He's clearing out the Vikings, and he's opening up the pathway for a double drop to come in here. Great moves here by ExpecT, but turrets are on the way. They need a little bit more time, though. Are they going to be able to finish before this drop comes in? Oh, the Viking!
He wants to drop. The Raven is so low. The Raven is so low, but the Vikings are not. The medevacs are coming in just as the turrets finish up. Vikings do land. A tank will siege, and KingSlayeR will lose his entire mineral line.
Oh, 15 SCVs go down. It will cost a lot of supply for ExpecT. He does trade a little bit inefficiently, but well worth it, and he keeps a drop alive in the corner of the map. At the same time, his main army is going to be hitting this third base, and KingSlayeR is not in position.
Not at all. They were just a little bit too distracted with that drop. A tank will be able to siege much quicker than ExpecT tanks, but now he's forced to pull the boys, and all the boys will be killed.
Oh god, exactly. The Marines even pull back as well because of that Marine drop into the main base. KingSlayeR, everything is on fire right now. He drops to 33 workers.
33. And despite ExpecT kind of making a couple of inefficient trades, kind of losing more units than he really had to, he's still on even army supply.
Yeah, exactly. It's the drop play of ExpecT that has just been pulling KingSlayeR apart. He's having a really hard time keeping up with the multi-prong harassment. And now KingSlayeR, he's pretty all in at this point. We can't afford to lose any units right now. And one of his tanks is caught out. Oh!
And like you said, you cannot afford to be losing any units right now if you're KingSlayeR, let alone a tank which is such a valuable unit, such a unit that will force positional play, and that's the only chance that KingSlayeR really has right now. The drop did come back, by the way, in that main base.
Yeah, and the drop is doing even more devastating damage, and KingSlayeR is all in at this point. He cannot break the defensive line of this third base, and it looks like he is just running out of steam. He's running on fumes. He turns back around. He recognizes that he can't really do anything with his main army.
Whereas ExpecT can do anything he wants right now.
Yeah, he can go for another Doom drop. He can just push in towards the natural into the third base. We do have some tanks set up for KingSlayeR, but he is spread thin here. He needs everything at his third.
And he doesn't quite have everything at his third. These two tanks are putting in a lot of work. They were in such a good position that they almost completely wiped out the Marine count of ExpecT. But he was forced to pull the boys. These are losses that ExpecT can afford, but KingSlayeR cannot whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, KingSlayeR knocked down to 34 SCVs. ExpecT just rallying everything he has across the map, and we're getting that ace match. We're going to be going the distance here all the way to game number 5, because I don't see a world where ExpecT isn't able to break this position. We do have 3 tanks, but oh god.
Even scouts the medevac full of units. Snipes the medevac full of units. That's a game-ending move right there.
It really is. ExpecT behind this. He's getting his 4th, getting his 5th, and getting his 6th. He is just mass expanding throughout the map. He knows how far ahead he is. He knows he cannot be stopped right now. 2-2 on the way here for ExpecT as well to make up for his Marine upgrade deficit. This position can be broken. KingSlayeR can try and take a fight here, but there's just so much more waiting back at home.
There really is. Well, here's the thing though, you can't break a position if there is no position whatsoever. The spotter turrets, you love to see it. It's so rare to see spotter turrets in any matchup, but at this point, with how far ahead ExpecT is, he can afford a couple of spotter turrets. He can afford purely decorative turrets if he wanted to.
He really could, as we see that Doom drop into the main base. His tanks are so battered, so bruised, but it doesn't even matter. They're going to be able to lay siege upon this production line. We do see KingSlayeR. He should have enough to actually break this position. He should be able to regain control of his main. But we have a second army, a bigger army moving out.
Yeah, in a separate wave. These poor Liberators just want to siege up on top of these tanks. And they will find a really good position, but they are only able to take out one tank. This finally gets cleaned up, but as you were saying, like, the other army doesn't care at all. It dips straight into the natural base.
Yeah, and we've been here before. We're getting a little bit of deja vu of KingSlayeR trying his hardest to try and come back in this game. But alas, even though he's trading relatively well and killing a lot of these tanks, he's just losing so much, but so much.
It's a full-on meat grinder. So many Marines are going down from both sides, but ExpecT's Marines are way more expendable than KingSlayer's.
Yeah, we were talking about that kind of Mad King vibe earlier, and we still continue to see that, where ExpecT, he's just sending wave after wave of reinforcements across the map into their deaths. They may be dying, but it is for the cause, and the cause seems to be worth it.
I thought you were going to say they may be dying, but they're not dead yet.
Oh, no.
They're about to be dead, but at least ExpecT will live.
Hi.
And die for your king.
Yeah, as we see another massive drop into the main base. At the same time, KingSlayeR is going to try and force himself forward here. 3-3 is not going to be finishing up. It is going to be under threat, and this is going to be the last hurrah for KingSlayeR.
Yeah, will it work out? Not at all, but at least he's going to go out swinging.
Yeah, the Marines overwhelm the units of KingSlayeR. The tanks go down. GG gets called, and ExpecT will tie the series 2-2 and go to the ace match.
Just like so. Oh boy. And I think ExpecT has correctly identified that KingSlayer's major weakness is multitasking. You know, he's not quite able to split his attention between attacking in one angle, defending in another, and then also dealing with a drop back at home. It's just that sometimes I feel like ExpecT goes a little too far in that regard, as we saw in the previous game. Now, though, it looks like he is a bit more tempered. He knows exactly what he can get away with and what he can't.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that ExpecT has been able to correctly identify that, as you were saying, right? The fact that KingSlayeR is just having a hard time keeping up with the aggression, with the multi-prong, with all of these drops. And maybe that's why we saw the insane just mass drop play. Maybe that was just a little bit too extreme in that last game, in the last couple of games.
I think that was... it almost felt like that was an experiment from ExpecT, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, okay, how mad can this king go? He's like, okay, I can't go that mad.
Yeah, like, how far can I push this? You know, can I push KingSlayeR to the limit and break him? And the answer is no. KingSlayeR can keep up with that if he can focus on that. But in the middle of a more longer macro-oriented game, it can be difficult to be able to prepare yourself for all these kind of drops and all these harassing styles. And I'm sure over the course of this series, KingSlayeR is also aware of that. He's also aware of his failings here and what he's struggling with and his weaknesses, and he's going to be looking to try and shore things up mid-series to try to come back in this ace match. Game number 5. What map is it going to be on?
Babylon. No, we have Babylon. Royal Blood. No, we have Royal Blood. What happened? We had Gressfen. We were just on Gressfen. Altitude.
Yeah, I wonder, right? Are we going to get Altitude? Are we going to get Near Humanity? Were those the vetoes? Or are we going to end up somewhere else? Of course, each player did have one veto available, and Altitude and Near Humanity do make sense, as they are some of the more extreme and unorthodox maps. But we'll see. We'll see what is going to become available to us. Meanwhile, as we wait for this game, have we had any other updates? Do we have any other qualified players?
We have had one so far. Oriana has taken out Daydreamer 3-0 and is in fact our first player to qualify for first player from today's open qualifiers to qualify for tomorrow's closed qualifiers.
Wow, congratulations to Oriana for advancing on forward here. Again, Oriana has been on our radar. He did sign up for GPO earlier last week, and he was looking pretty damn good. So congratulations to Oriana. In a way, a player that we have been able to see is finally getting their chance or opportunity to move on through into those closed qualifiers. Meanwhile, we're still waiting for some of the other results. Rewhite is mid-series against Silky. And, of course, we have our own series, ExpecT versus KingSlayeR. And towards the bottom of the bracket, SC2 is going up against SCV.
Yeah, that series against Quantel ended much quicker than I anticipated.
Oh, yeah.
This series against Little Strong, otherwise known as Dragon, was longer.
Yeah. When we were in game number 2, SC2 was starting a series against SCV, and they were asking if we would maybe cast them, and I would love to, but we'll see if it lines up here. We'll see if we're able to maybe get the tail end of SC2 versus SCV. That would be ideal.
Hopefully it's not another quick 3-0.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. Oh, as the players just need a moment to prepare themselves and get ready for the final game for game number 5. And
Here's where I remind everybody to stretch your roaches.
don't forget to stretch your roaches, hydrate your hydras, massage your marines. We are almost done here with our next game. We're almost done with the second and last open qualifier for Asia.
Yeah, it's insane to think how quick it went. How quickly it went down and is going to go down this season. As of course, instead of having 3 separate regional qualifiers at different times, sometimes they have a little bit of an overlap, but overall at different times and whatnot, yeah, it's just one. It is just one, and similar thing with the Americas region. Instead of having 2 separate, one for Latin America, which usually goes on earlier, and then one for North America, which happens usually alongside EU. It is just, it's just one.
Yeah. So we have a pretty condensed and intense weekend of StarCraft, but usually, you know, this is kind of spread out over the course of a week of qualifiers, which we would be doing back-to-back broadcasts and just casting every single day, twice a day. And part of me misses that, you know. It was great to experience this kind of week-long period of ESL Masters. But you know, we do have to consolidate a little bit and try and keep things manageable, sustainable.
At the very least, you know, since it is a bit more condensed and a bit shorter, we're not gonna go as insane compared to the 2 week long broadcasts even.
Oh, that's what you think, buddy.
By the end of it, it's just
you're not wrong,
that
mate.
usually takes a little while, you know, before the full mania hits.
Yeah. You're not wrong. But you know, I'll try and change that.
Still gotta get manic.
Aye.
Gotta get manic as we load on into our final map for this best of 5 qualifying match. It is going to be on Dragon Scales, where in the bottom right hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom right hand corner, we have our red Terran player coming down from the land of China. He is the fratricider himself, the trasher of waifus, representing Mystery Gaming. We have KingSlayeR.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have his opponent. We have the Taiwanese Terran player representing himself, his own country, the Mad King. It is ExpecT.
That's what he's constantly thinking in his head.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. That is what he wants. And is that what we're going to be getting here? The final game of this series. Personally, what do I want? It's always great to see these kind of young up-and-comers get the limelight and be able to really prove themselves and go for these deep runs. At the same time, ExpecT has been around for a long time, and you know, he's a player that I'm accustomed to seeing in at least the closed qualifiers. It is going to be a little bit sad to not see him there if he does end up falling here. But maybe I will feel vindicated because we've seen so many great players go down, like Yoga, like Beastork. What's one more?
Yeah. So what he's saying is we need to fuse the 2 of them.
Fuse who?
Yeah, fuse everyone at this point, you know.
There you go. Yeah, just
have it be 1v1.
Have the waifu transformers come together and turn into Voltron.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. But then who do they face? Who's their opponent?
Their opponents.
Reed.
Like, I'll be honest, I've never watched Voltron before. I don't Oh my god. Who's Rita Repulsa in this scenario? Who is that? Is that Hon Mono?
Mio. Hon Mono, there we go.
Ay, ay, ay. We love you, Hon Mono. We love you. Oh god. As once again, we're getting into this pretty standard setup overall, nothing too crazy, no kind of major diverging paths for the time being, just double gas openers, we're getting into our Reavers, we're getting into our Hellions, we'll be seeing that Marine production immediately afterwards.
Yeah, very safe openings. Once again, coming out from our players, but once we get into the mid game, you know, once we start getting some production from these starports, things will be anything but safe.
Exactly. That's when we finally get to see if we have any crazy medevac play once again. And KingSlayeR is going to be the aggressor here. He skips out on the Cyclone and goes for a much faster tank. And we see why.
This could backfire spectacularly.
It's a
but
risky
we'll
move.
see. But it's very risky, but it has a very, very high reward here. We will have a Cyclone back home for ExpecT, so he will, you know, have a little bit of anti-air defense, but it does come down to being able to lock onto the medevac quick enough, making sure that the tank isn't able to siege in a comfortable enough position.
Definitely, as the drop is going to be zooming across the map. Meanwhile, ExpecT also doing something a little bit unexpected, not going for a tech lab for a faster Raven. He's going for a Liberator once again to go across the map and harass, and we have seen this work wonders just because KingSlayeR can have a hard time defending back at home. But meanwhile, here he goes. He's going for the drop.
He's going for the drop, but there are only 4 Marines here, despite KingSlayeR, or despite ExpecT being aware of it. There isn't that much firepower. Now, this, yeah, that depot will go down. The Liberator is forced to turn around, and it, yeah, is zoning away some of these units.
Yeah, he was
But not
looking
losing much beyond that.
He was looking to punish the siege of the tank. He was like, yo, siege up, I dare you, mate, I dare you. No, the Marine, no, he's left behind. Boom.
Does get picked up very hotly at the end there.
There you go, hot pickup from KingSlayeR. He doesn't care about his units, about his Marines. Here we go, he's going to be able to siege up here towards that third base. But again, with this Liberator, it's so difficult to really have any staying power, but Vikings are showing up.
And Vikings are taking down the Libs. 1 Liberator will go down. It's a very interesting choice from ExpecT to not only go for the initial Liberator to, you know, harass and turn around to try to defend as well, but to commit to the Liberators instead of doing what KingSlayeR did and swap to Vikings production immediately.
Yeah, I mean, Vikings are now being produced for ExpecT, but he does have a bit of a Viking deficit. He is going for that 1 Liberator across the map to harass, but there's only 1 Lib. KingSlayeR should be taking note that the Lib is missing. He did see it, he was aware of it, and it has to be somewhere. And there we go, he's rallying his Viking back at home to deal with it.
Like so, this Liberator will not be getting any worker damage whatsoever.
It shouldn't be getting any damage here. We even have a Marine patrolling into the main base as well. Liberator is going to get hunted down, and now KingSlayeR can focus on that main push again. This time, he's not going to get done dirty.
He is the one who's going to do the dirtying.
Excuse me?
As he inches his way forward into the base of ExpecT, really doing a good job of containing him, but getting a little bit ahead of himself, losing a couple of Vikings unnecessarily. There's actually quadruple Viking production out right now for ExpecT, so as much as I do appreciate KingSlayeR switching into Liberator production to make to take advantage of his air superiority, I don't think he's going to be able to maintain that aerial superiority.
I mean, this is kind of an all-in setup from ExpecT. Going for double starport production here. He's going to have a massive amount of Vikings. He's going to be able to take control of the skies here and go for a massive counterattack.
And just like that, he immediately breaks out of his contain, and he is looking to counterattack, punish KingSlayeR for thinking he could do him dirty.
Yeah, but you know what? The tanks are able to siege up in time. ExpecT is forced back here, and how is KingSlayeR going to respond? A common response is to go for your own second starport to contest against that Viking count, but no, he throws down more Marines. He wants to get into mass Marine production instead. More axes is what it is.
Not a bad choice to make at all. Yeah. I mean, it's CvT. Marines, Braxis, pretty much synonymous.
There you go. This army is getting huge. We do have a third CC behind this, but look at the Viking count, mate. We're up to 9 Vikings. We're about to have 13.
And there aren't that many Marines on the ground for ExpecT. He actually doesn't have a tech lab on his barracks. He is going full mech.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, just pure tank Viking here from ExpecT. He's rushing across the map. But KingSlayeR did turn back around with his own Vikings because he knows that he has the lower Viking count and he doesn't want to throw them away, so much more conservative here. But the Vikings are looking to go for a mass drop into the natural. At the same time, the main army is pushing forward towards the third.
And it's really important for ExpecT to make this army of tanks seen, because this is going to be distracting KingSlayeR so much. He's probably thinking, yo, didn't you have a lot more Vikings? What happened to that exactly? But yeah, the entire army is pushing on forward. ExpecT isn't looking to siege up his tanks. He just wants to distract the forces of KingSlayeR so he can drop into the natural and into the main.
Yeah, exactly. The natural and main base are very under threat right now. We do see KingSlayeR holding the line on the front lines, but he's losing so many SCVs.
Yeah, just like that, ExpecT is able to make up for the deficit from earlier on, being contained on 2 bases, and he will catch back up when it comes to the worker count, but now KingSlayeR is looking to counterattack, and KingSlayeR has a much more mobile army.
It really does. The tanks, though, of ExpecT are going to be sieging here in position, and oh, KingSlayeR is late to react.
Yeah, sometimes you can try to send a wave of Marines to bite through the tank damage and take them out, but not when there are 5 of them. Liberator is doing a really good job of taking out as many tanks as possible, though, and while this base is still under threat, it's not as bad as it could be.
Oh, meanwhile, we have that drop on top of the tanks here of ExpecT. It looks like his position is going to be cleaned up. The Vikings are taking down every single medevac, but they do not shoot down.
I love that he made use of his Reaper from earlier, that KD8 charge bouncing a tank. But yeah, like you said, that was a very committed assault from ExpecT, and now he doesn't really have anything to defend the counterattack.
No, he does not. He has 8 Vikings and 1 Marine. That's not 1 Marine, by the way.
1 Marine is no tanks.
No tanks whatsoever. The CC is under threat. He's playing mech, by the way. He did throw down a second factory here at the natural as well, but the tank production is non-existent, and that CC is getting lower and lower.
Just needs to live long enough to get some repairs. There is 1 tank in the main base that's really preventing these Marines from stimming on forward. Vikings do drop, and once more, I was gonna say once more, things kind of even out, but KingSlayeR actually has a pretty good foothold right outside the natural base of ExpecT. Once again, ExpecT is being contained on 2 bases, while KingSlayeR works on getting a 4th base.
Yeah, that's what... To reiterate, that's a 4th CC that's on the way. He's going to double the base count of ExpecT shortly. And what does ExpecT have to work with? With all these Vikings, it makes sense for him to transition into Liberators. And that is a great way to make up for his tank deficit, as we have 2 more Liberators on the way. With them, he doesn't just have a more robust army, but he can go for some harassment across the map. He can make KingSlayer's life a living hell once again with all that multi-pronged attack, harassment. But can he hold on to his 3rd?
Yeah, that's definitely what's worrying. Because if you look at the games that ExpecT has won so far in this series, he was always dropping in the face of KingSlayeR pushing into him. He always had a good enough tank position, a good enough defensive position, that he could just bluff KingSlayeR, essentially. Focus entirely on his drops. This time, what are his defenses looking like? They're not existing.
No, just like that 3rd CC, it goes down in the blink of an eye. The Liberators are going to be sieging on up, but the Marines, they have on top of them.
Yeah, they are able to take him out before they can really come into play. Same thing with the tanks, and it looks like KingSlayeR will be saving the Crown Lands, will be saving King's Landing from the Mad King. GG is called.
GG gets called. KingSlayeR, the up-and-coming newcomer to the scene, to the region, to this new ESL Masters format, takes down ExpecT 3-2 and qualifies for the closed qualifier.
It was his toughest opponent yet. Without a doubt, his toughest opponent yet, but he made it happen right at the end. I love how, as we got into the ace match, he had no fear whatsoever. He just said, I'm not going to get done dirty by our drops again. I'm going to dirty you with a very, very, very aggressive tank drop and contain.
Yeah, exactly. And to respond to that, ExpecT did attempt to go for a 2-port mass Viking build, which can do quite well when you are the aggressor, but he was the defender. He was trying to barely hold on. And we saw that his ground army suffered as a result. We saw him not really have too much to support his tanks on the ground. And this time, KingSlayeR was able to deal with the multi-prong harassment with the Viking drops. He had a much better hold of his own main bases.
Yeah. So much more solid this time. This time ExpecT didn't even have a chance to lose his mind.
He did.
KingSlayeR just came in and forced him to not have a mind that he could lose. That's my way of saying that KingSlayeR really took control of the pace of that game, that final game.
Oh, he really did. And with that, congratulations to KingSlayeR as he does advance forward here into the closed qualifiers. My condolences to ExpecT, the best Terran player in Taiwan. He was not able to make it. He is eliminated just like many other players here, and now we only have one qualifying match left, and that is the series between Rewhite and Silky.
Yeah, it is still ongoing at the moment, and we're gonna see hopefully if we can jump into that.
Oh, exactly. We do have another update as well. I was hoping to jump into a mid-series, but we have confirmation SCV did 3-1 SC2.
That is an interesting result, let me tell you. In a TvP especially, I feel like that is a matchup that SC2 really excels in. Or TvP, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious as to what went on in that game, or in that series.
Exactly. I'm curious as well. SC2, again, is usually one of the stronger players in the Oceanic region, but as a reminder, he is currently with the boys at a vacation house, and he is utilizing...
He's playing from a busted Mac Pro, a 2018 Mac Pro. Or maybe even 2017. MacBook Pro, not Mac.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally a laptop.
Yeah, it's just not the most ideal setup, but he's, he did his best, and hey, he was able to go for a deep run. He made it to a qualifying match, but was not able to overcome SCV in the end. It looks like Piglet will be the lone Australian in the closed qualifiers.
Oi, 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 yes.
It is just going to be Piglet standing strong there.
No, I was just gonna say this was whatchamacallit. That was a tweet earlier today about the Australian hope.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Michael was pinning it all on Piglet.
Yeah, I mean, Piglet is a good player. Don't get me wrong, he's an amazing player, and I do think that he has an opportunity to have a deep run and make it into the main event. But a lot of it does depend on whether or not he's practicing, to be honest.
That is the question, yeah. If he has a home to practice in.
Oh boy, exactly. It's going to be all about that. Meanwhile, actually. Rika is Silky, right?
Rika is Silky, yes. I just saw Silky for a quick... Wait, what?
Yeah.
Apparently Silky is now in a 2v2. So either the series hasn't started, and they're waiting for rewrite to get ready,
Uh-huh.
or the series ended a while ago and the
Mhm.
score wasn't reported.
Yeah, it looks like the score wasn't reported. That's some serious copium, mate. It was like, oh, he's playing 2v2. He's playing
He's like,
2v2s
you know,
because he's
so
waiting for
like,
rewrite,
yeah,
Poppy.
yeah,
He's
because he's like
waiting.
rewrite asked for a
Yeah.
quick break,
Yeah.
and since they already played out mid-series, they didn't want to. He didn't want to forfeit, and he didn't want to force a forfeit either. He's like, no, I can accommodate you. You know, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'll just chill in the 2v2, and
Uh-huh.
he'll come back out.
I feel so awkward now because I messaged
Copium.
Silky as he was getting onto the ladder, and I was like, yo, can we get an invite? And then he gets into the 2v2. I'm like, oh, that's not the invite that I wanted, Poppy. That's not... I don't want to play
He's
team
like-
games.
He's like, yeah, sure, we can go into a 3v3, a 4v4.
Aye. So it does look like Silky versus Rewhite has ended. We don't know the score, unfortunately. Don't really know what's been going on, so a bit of a feels bad, man. But I'm sure we will get updated soon enough by the admins, by the players. We can try and track them down and figure out what's been going on. But that does mean that that was actually the final qualifying match.
That was indeed the final qualifying match. The only one, well, as far as we can tell, the only one that went all the way to the ace match, and yeah, very exciting one as that. KingSlayeR was not at all. I think today didn't have as many upsets as yesterday, but I can definitely say that KingSlayeR was not the player who I expected to qualify just based on this bracket run. Again, I was looking at Demi, I was looking at Yogur, I was even looking at ExpecT a little bit at the start of today's broadcast, but I think by the time we did get to this best of 5, I'm not surprised that KingSlayeR was able to take him out and qualify for tomorrow's close qualifiers, as that's another thing that makes these regional qualifiers so cutthroat, is that it is very condensed, and you want to be qualifying on the first day if you're coming from the open qualifiers, because if you qualify in day number 2, you don't really get a lot of rest before the next stage.
Exactly, and this may just be a good chance for us to just switch the scenes over here and have a look at the Wikipedia page, have a look at the players that are going to be taking part in the closed qualifier.
Indeed, we had 8 invites, although a couple of players... that was a little bit of a shift if you weren't aware. They did recently update the bracket yesterday, or not the bracket, sorry, but the participant list yesterday. 8 players who have been invited are going to be Firefly, Cheshire, Maxed, Ranger, Zane for Protoss, along with Piglet and Raza for Terran, and then Gogo Joey, the sole Zerg invitee, and potentially the sole Zerg player in the close qualifiers, depending on what we find out versus Rewrite versus Silky. But our qualified players from the open qualifiers from yesterday are going to be Nanami, Honmono, XY, the Mental King, Young Zest, otherwise known as... He had a different name last night, but it escapes me from now.
Potato.
Potato, there we go.
Yeah.
Starlight Twinkle Potato, otherwise known as Young Zest. And from today's qualifiers, we have Oriana, KingSlayeR, SCV, and then either Rewhite or Silky, depending on what we're told. And no offense to Rewhite, I love watching Rewhites play, but I really am hoping that it's Silky, just so for the close qualifiers we have more than one Zerg player.
Yeah.
We have more than just Gogo Joey tomorrow.
It would be nice to have more than one Zerg. that's
Yeah.
all I have to say. It would be very nice if we had just one other here for the for the Asia region. But congratulations to all the players that did make it on through here. My condolences to those who did not. You know, your Leo Rushers, your Demis, your Nazin, Eternity, ExpecT, Vaishravana. There were a lot of big names that weren't able to make it through. And there are a lot of newcomers that have really kind of made a splash here. I'm looking at Nanami, SCV, Young Zest, Oriana, KingSlayeR. All 5 of them maybe even Rewide if he took down Silky. All
Yeah,
5 to 6 of them, yeah, really making a name for themselves. They typically are not a part of even the later stages of the China regionals in years past, but they're really just stepping things up here for their region, and it's really impressive to see them all improving so much.
Yeah, I'm really. I don't want to say this is conclusive proof or anything, but yeah, I really do think that Oliveira's win
Yep.
in Katowice really did create a lot of motivation, specifically amongst up-and-coming players. I think it really gave a lot of up-and-coming players some hope, in a way, a little bit of, because, you know, now they look at that and say, it is possible. Maybe I should dedicate, maybe I can, you know, dedicate a bit more time to practicing and to getting, yeah, to dedicating more time. My brain stopped working halfway there, but you get the sentiment that I'm trying to go for.
Yeah.
They do, now they know it's possible. The younger players know it's possible. They know that there is a lot of support and a lot of love coming their way, and yeah, I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to see what they can come up with. Specifically, I may be getting ahead of myself, but I'm hoping that if KingSlayeR does qualify from the closed qualifiers to the main event,
Mhm.
I want that KingSlayeR Rex match.
Oh,
I
let's
want to
go.
see it so badly.
Let's go, Bobby, let's go. And yeah, to just kind of echo what you were saying as well, you know, Oliveira, especially as he branded himself as just a regular guy, you know, just a human being out there, no one special, no one super talented to become a world champion. I'm sure it was very inspiring for a lot of these young players, so it's great to see that kind of reverberate through the Chinese community, not just the players, but also the teams. That's the other big thing, especially we saw it in this season of WTL. A lot of Chinese teams actually invested and got some big names and are really supporting their players. I think we can see it here based on the qualifiers. Mystery Gaming really coming out strong here, and I imagine they are one of those teams that has been investing in their pro roster, and I imagine putting in a lot of time and effort into practicing, into improving their players.
Yeah, we just got a little bit of an update here, but 4 players from Mystery Gaming. There were a lot of players from Mystery Gaming who competed in these closed qualifiers, or these open qualifiers, but 4 of them will be taking that next step and will be advancing to the closed qualifiers tomorrow. Let me just do a quick double check here, and yeah, 4 players from Mystery Gaming will be advancing.
Exactly, and that's a pretty big result here for the team overall. Again, because of Oliveira's performance on the world stage, I do know that there was a lot of like national coverage in China about it as well, hyping it up, getting a lot of attention, getting a lot of sponsors, getting a lot of hype around StarCraft, and I know SC Boy have been reaping the rewards of that. We're going to be seeing not just a bigger investment into WTL, but also into an individual league, into the weekly Kung Fu Cups as well. China is really stepping up, not just for their own region, but also to support the greater surrounding regions as well. So definitely an exciting time here for them. But I'm also curious to see how the invited players will do. Go Joey, Piglet, Raza, Ranger, Zane, players that we are more familiar with. I'm curious to see if they have been keeping up with their practice and if they can go toe-to-toe with the up-and-coming players.
Yeah, even players like Firefly and Jesha, I think we were really impressed by a lot of younger, less established Chinese players in these open qualifiers. But can they take it to the bigger names in the region?
That's
what we all want to know.
Yeah, that's going to be a really important question. The more established names like Firefly, Jessie, and Maxid, is there actually going to be like a reorganization, a shuffling of the hierarchy of the level of play in China? You know, are they going to be dethroned? Is the KingSlayeR going to come in and take down Jessie and take down Firefly? It's hard for me to imagine that, but it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, could usher in a new era. You know, the old dynasty of Targaryens. I mean of Starf camels might be dethroned by the mystery men.
Could be the dynasty of the mystery men indeed. But yes, for those wondering, the closed qualifier featuring all these players will be taking place tomorrow in less than 24 hours, and we'll be live covering that here on the CranKy Ducklings. Until then, though, we have finished up. Oh, do we have a result?
We just got an update. It looks like Silky did, in fact, take out Rewhite 3-1. So Gogo Joey's not going to be alone tomorrow. As the only Zerg player.
Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. I was so concerned that there would only be one Zerg player. I can see Gogo Joey in the chat as well. He's like, oh, I'm all alone, Poppy. Help. Oh my god. So yeah, really great to see that we're gonna have a little bit more diversity in those closed qualifiers, and I hope everyone is able to tune in tomorrow for that event to take place. We'll do our best to cover those players. We will most likely, I'm gonna try and actually cover Piglet a little bit. You know, I would love to see a little bit of Australian StarCraft, even though he's more of a mech player. But Piglet as well as Gogo Joey. We have a soft spot in our heart for Gogo Joey and Honmono as well.
That's what I was gonna say. You know, we're talking a lot about KingSlayeR. We're talking a lot about you know, these Chinese players. We're talking a lot about Piglet and whatnot. We forgot the biggest agent of chaos in this entire event. I mean, Honmono, I think, is definitely a favorite to that main event. And I want to see his style. I mean, he was in chat earlier on. He was like, "Why do you guys keep talking about me? Like, come on, guys." Because we want to see. It's because we want to see what you've got.
He's just so honorable, you know.
Yeah.
We just can't.
And mechable, apparently.
We just can't get enough, Pop. We just can't get enough. So, yeah, it is gonna be a banger of a closed qualifier. But before that happens, we are gonna be live once again in a couple of hours for the second America's Open qualifier. Just looking at the calendar here, in 7 hours, so we do have a little bit of time to sleep, thankfully, but in 7 hours we will be returning here. We'll be live once again with some more ESL Masters events.
It never ends. Well, I guess technically it ends for a little while right now, but you know what I mean.
Exactly. For now, we will be able to take a break, and yeah, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much everyone for the support we've been getting as well. Yaku, do you
yes,
yeah, you know, where can we find more of you, mate? Where can we find more Yaku of the Zaku?
Around. If you look hard enough. If you calm down and if you concentrate hard enough, you can find me over at twitch.tv/Yakuzaku1. Stream next week, probably. Twitter.com at @Yakuzaku for announcements and for shitposts. And ! Discord in the chat. So you can find me, so you can find Light, so you can find everyone in the CranKy Ducklings and all of our CranKy affiliates as well in the CranKy Ducklings Discord server.
There you go. You can find us there if you want to interact outside of just these streams. Meanwhile, you can follow me at light_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. I do usually stream throughout the week, but because we're so busy with all of these broadcasts with ESL Masters, I'm going to be taking a break from streaming for the next couple of days, and maybe even taking a break a day after the ESL Master qualifiers are done, just so I can sleep and eat and rest my voice and rest my eyes and just rest in general. So you know, the live streams will come back eventually, and I'm sure we'll have a great time with that. But if you want to tune into the Ducklings, we're all over the place. Instagram, Discord, Twitter, Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, and we have a Patreon as well. !Patreon in the chat if you want to support the CranKy Ducklings. We do host our own tournaments, and the Patreon is set up to help fund those events and also to grow them, to make them weeklies, and to maybe even grow the prize pool as well. Our events are actually catered towards this region, catered towards the EPT Asia region, alongside some Americas as well, Latin America, North America. We're trying to target and support these smaller regions. We don't have as much support with that, but we're doing our best to run those events anyway, to try and do our part here for the StarCraft community.
Which is why if you would like to support us and get more of these events down the line, Patreon, as you were just saying, get different tiers going on there, or consider subscribing to the channel itself. You get a couple of emotes for that when you go along with it.
There you go. There you go. We do have those emotes. We do have those replay packs as well if you are interested. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We appreciate the support. And we'll see you guys again in 7 hours.
Yes. Oh, boy.
See you then.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bella.